What if the people you trusted most were the ones who broke you? In the cold rain, she was just another shadow, forgotten, hungry, alone. Then she saw him, a man collapsed on a bench, bleeding, barely breathing. A stranger. Or so she thought. She could have walked away. But she didn't. And that choice will change everything. Some storms don't just wash things away, they bring them back. Don't blink. This is only the beginning. 5 months ago, Ivy Quinn had a life. Not a perfect one, but it was hers. She had a job as a junior analyst at a mid-sized firm, steady, respectable. Her one-bedroom apartment in North Ravensburg was modest but warm, filled with second-hand books and quiet dreams. And she had a family. At least, she thought she did. All of it unraveled with a single knock on the door. Gerald Whitmore, her stepfather, had gambled away nearly $70,000. Creditors were circling like vultures. And Carla, her mother, had one demand. "We need your savings, Ivy. All of it. You're not a child anymore." Ivy had stood there, heart pounding, staring at the two people who were supposed to protect her. All her instincts screamed no. That money was her safety net, her future. She refused. The next words out of her mother's mouth scorched like acid. "You selfish little bitch. If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back." She walked. They made good on the promise. Her bank account was mysteriously frozen. Her apartment was emptied within a week, legal loopholes, forged signatures, lies stacked on lies. No one at work believed her when she tried to explain. Eventually, she stopped showing up. Now, Ivy Quinn lived on the streets of Ravensburg. The city was a cold, indifferent monster, and she was one of its forgotten. Tonight, the rain felt endless. She crouched under the awning of a shuttered deli, soaked through her hoodie, legs curled to her chest. Her stomach twisted painfully. She hadn't eaten in almost 2 days. The wetness was in her bones now, making her shiver uncontrollably. That's when she saw him. Across the street, half concealed by the shadow of a stone sculpture in the park, lay the figure of a man slumped on a bench. At first, she thought he was just another drunk. This city had plenty. But something made her look again. His suit was expensive. Too expensive for someone passed out in the rain. His shoes were polished leather, his wrist glinted with what looked like a platinum watch. She stood slowly, the sharp wind cutting through her. Hesitated. Her instincts screamed stay out of it. But then lightning lit up the park, and she caught a clear glimpse of his face. There was blood. A thin stream running down his temple. His lips were blue. Shit. The word escaped before she realized. She sprinted across the empty street, nearly slipping on wet cobblestone. Up close, he looked worse. Pale. Cold. His pulse was there, barely. "Hey. Can you hear me? Sir?" No response. She patted her jeans. No phone. Of course. She'd sold it 2 weeks ago for enough cash to buy 2 meals and a used blanket. Think, Ivy. Think. There was only one place open at this hour. St. Augustine Medical Center. 8 blocks north. Uphill. In the rain. She bit her lip, heart thudding. He's not going to make it if you don't do something. So she did something. Ivy tore off down the street, her thin sneakers slapping against the pavement, rain blinding her. Her lungs burned. Her legs felt like they might give out. But she didn't stop. Not when a stranger's life was on the line. Not when she knew what it was like to be left behind. 3 days after the rain-soaked night that changed everything, Ivy stood outside the grand glass tower of Wilder Capital Group, clutching a paper cup of gas station coffee and wondering if this was all some cruel, cosmic prank. She hadn't expected to ever see the man again, certainly not like this. But Knox Wilder had been looking for her. He'd woken up in St. Augustine Medical Center with a concussion, 2 cracked ribs, and the faint memory of someone's trembling hands pressed against his face. Someone who wouldn't let him die. Through hospital cameras and street surveillance, his team had traced her, Ivy Quinn, 28, formerly employed, currently unlisted. Then came the impossible part. He asked her to meet him. They sat across from each other in a minimalist private office, sunlight filtering in through floor-to-ceiling windows. Knox looked nothing like the soaked, bleeding man she found days ago. Now, he was every inch the billionaire CEO, impeccably dressed, composed, intense. But his voice was gentle. "You saved my life, Miss Quinn. I want to repay that." Ivy flinched. Repay. That word itched beneath her skin. "I don't need charity," she said stiffly. "This isn't charity. It's recognition." He leaned forward, steepling his fingers. "We're expanding our philanthropic division. There's an entry-level position open. You'd have a desk, a paycheck, stability." She hesitated. Because truth be told, she did need the job. She was tired of skipping meals. Tired of sleeping with one eye open. Tired of surviving when all she wanted was to live. So she said yes. Her new office smelled of new carpet and fresh beginnings. She wore blazers from thrift shops, kept her head down, and threw herself into the work. The philanthropy department managed dozens of charitable funds, education grants, housing support, victim restitution programs. And then, one afternoon, a name stopped her cold. The Quinn Foundation. Her hands froze over the keyboard. Her breath hitched. At first, she thought it was a coincidence. Quinn wasn't a rare name. But as she dug deeper, financial reports, beneficiary lists, fund transfer histories, a chill crept down her spine. There was something wrong with this foundation. It claimed to support victims of financial crimes. But the list of victims contained a few names she recognized. Not from victim registries, but from the whispers in her past. Names linked to off-the-book loans. Disappearing money. One name jumped out. Gerald Whitmore. Her stepfather. She scrolled faster, hands shaking. Then, worse. At the bottom of an old internal memo, she saw the name Carla Whitmore. Not under victim. Under correspondent. No. She leaned back, pulse thudding. Her mother hadn't been manipulated. She had been involved. Possibly even a co-conspirator. "You selfish little bitch." The words echoed louder than ever. That night, Ivy stayed late, the office empty except for her. Her screen glowed in the dark as she combed through encrypted records, following breadcrumbs no one was supposed to find. And that's when she found it. A missing report tagged with an internal reference. Project Monarch. Its associated file was gone. Deleted. Only a few metadata entries remained. One note mentioned a stolen USB drive. She sat back slowly, connecting invisible dots. Was this what the attackers were after? Knox hadn't been mugged. It was something targeted. Something that could expose the entire network. When she brought it up to him the next day, his face shifted, just slightly. Project Monarch, she said carefully. It was on a stolen USB, wasn't it? Knox didn't speak for a moment. Then he exhaled and looked away. "I've been trying to confirm that myself," he admitted. "But if what you're implying is true, this goes deeper than I thought." His tone wasn't surprised. It was resigned. As if part of him had feared this all along. And so, the past Ivy tried to outrun was circling back, not just through memory, but through a corporate maze of secrets, blood, and betrayal. And the man she'd saved. He was at the center of it all. It started with a phone call. No caller ID. Just static. Then a voice Ivy hadn't heard in over 6 months. "Hello, sweetheart. Miss me?" Her blood turned to ice. "Gerald." She nearly hung up. But his next words froze her in place. "You've been working for Knox Wilder. Nice office. Nice suit. How's the coffee over there?" He was watching her. "What do you want?" she snapped, clutching the phone tighter. "Simple. I want what's mine. There's a file. Password protected. You'll know it when you see it. Get it to me, and Mommy doesn't go to prison. Easy." Ivy's heart stopped. "Carla. You're bluffing." "Am I?" The authorities are this close to opening up the Quinn Foundation like a tin can. But you can stop that. You can protect her. You know how much you owe her. Owe her. That word burned like acid. For the next 2 days, Ivy didn't sleep. She kept playing both sides of the same nightmare. If she stole from Knox, she'd betray the one person who had seen her as more than a mistake. But if she did nothing, her mother could go to prison. And despite everything, a piece of her still longed for Carla to just once fight for her the way she always had to fight for them. That hope died the night Ivy went to see her. Carla Whitmore lived in a gated townhouse now, quiet and elegant. She opened the door wearing a silk robe and barely raised an eyebrow when she saw her daughter. "So it's true," Ivy said, stepping inside. "You were in on it. You knew about Gerald's scams." "Don't be naive, Ivy. We did what we had to do to survive. You didn't survive. You thrived. You sold me out." Carla poured herself a drink, not meeting her eyes. "If you really loved this family, you'd do the right thing." Ivy's voice cracked. "Is that what you call it? Love?" Carla turned to her then, expression hard as stone. "You were never meant to be soft. I raised you to be strong. Maybe now you'll finally prove it." That was the moment Ivy stopped being a daughter. She walked out of the townhouse with shaking hands and a heart that finally stopped breaking. Some things weren't meant to be fixed. "We set the trap tomorrow," she told Knox, sitting across from him in the security room at Wilder Capital. He studied her face carefully. "You're sure?" "I'm done letting them define me." The next day, Gerald Whitmore strolled into a private conference room, confident as ever. He smiled when he saw Ivy and Knox waiting for him. "See? Told you she'd come around," Gerald said smugly. Knox handed him a manila folder. "Everything you asked for." Gerald opened it greedily, only to find it filled with blank pages. He looked up, stunned. "What the hell is this?" "Proof," Ivy said quietly, "that you're still an idiot." Behind the mirror, 2 FBI agents recorded every word. Gerald scoffed, tried to play it off, until he slipped. "You think you can trap me with this little performance? I've been laundering money longer than either of you." The agents entered before he could finish the sentence. Cuffs clicked around his wrists. "You set me up," he roared. "No," Ivy said coldly, "you set yourself up years ago. I'm just finally done playing your game." Carla was taken in for questioning 2 days later. Investigations were ongoing, but Ivy didn't need a verdict to know the truth. She was free now. Truly, finally, free. The storm had passed. Weeks after Gerald's arrest and Carla's investigation made headlines, Ivy sat by the window of a modest studio apartment on the east side of Ravensburg. It was small, barely enough room for a bed and a desk, but it was hers. Paid for with her first real paycheck in years. She was working now with a non-profit that specialized in helping victims of financial abuse. The irony wasn't lost on her, but it felt right. For the first time, her pain had purpose. Knox had offered more. A higher position, better pay, even a personal driver if she wanted it. And when she hesitated, he offered something far more terrifying. A future. "You don't have to do this alone, Ivy," he had said one night, standing in the doorway of her new place, the city glowing behind him. "I know," she whispered. "But I need to." He looked at her then, not as someone to rescue, but someone to respect. "I know you want to help me, Knox. But I need to prove to myself that I can help myself first." He smiled, sad and proud all at once. "Then I'll wait. However long it takes." A year passed like breath on glass, fragile, fleeting, beautiful. Ivy grew. She learned to sleep without fear. To wake up and not feel guilt soaking into her bones. Her hair was longer now. Her smile didn't feel borrowed. She kept a framed photo of herself as a child on her shelf, not as a memory, but as a promise, never again. Then, on a crisp spring afternoon, there was a knock at her door. She opened it, and there he was. Knox Wilder, in jeans and a navy sweater, hands in his pockets, a familiar half-smile tugging at his lips. "Are you ready now?" She didn't answer right away. But she stepped aside. And that door, once slammed shut by betrayal and loss, opened, wide and waiting. Once, she had nothing. No home. No family. No future. But in a moment of pure instinct, in the middle of a storm, with nothing left to give, she knelt beside a dying man and chose to act. Not because she had to. Not because she would gain anything. But because something deep inside her refused to let the darkness win. And that choice became the spark. Through lies and betrayal, through grief and confrontation, she didn't crumble, she climbed. She chose truth, even when it hurt. She chose dignity, even when it cost her everything. And in the end, she didn't just survive. She rose. This is not a story of a woman saved by a man. It's a story of a woman who saved herself, and in doing so, opened the door to love not as a lifeline, but as a choice. She was never just a victim. She was the storm that came after.